There we
Hello.
go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Loudmouth Podcast, Episode 7. As always, I'm your host, Ryan, joined by Luke. Luke, there we are, and Alfie.
Hello.
So, yeah,
We're
all here.
on a new program this week, trying out a different application. As you can see above Alfie's head, he's got some
money.
Alfie's got some lovely watermark over his head there.
This right here? No, this is just a new art installation.
So yes, we've got a lovely show lined up for you all today, everyone.
We've planned this one. Who'd have thought?
We've planned a little bit more, as we haven't been, which we should have been more with these live podcasts at the moment. But yeah, so we're gonna head back to our roots for our first segment today, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna get into a quick Bicky chat.
Yes.
If you're a new Loudmouth viewer who hasn't heard of Bicky Chat is a segment where we talk about biscuits that we usually bring to the table. We all sit around, but we are now doing digitally. So let's start off with Luke. What Bickies have you brought, my friend?
I bought some classic fables, hobnobs.
Oh, hobnobs.
The hobnobs for the old time's sake more than anything else.
Oh, I love a hobnob.
Lovely syrupy flavour to a hobnob, I think.
Yeah, well, you would know, Ryan. You would know. You seem to be a connoisseur of most biscuits.
Well, I don't know if the biscuit that I have brought to the table this week can be classed as a biscuit, really, but hopefully it can.
Well, last I remember when you had a bit of a thing for pickup bars.
Yes, the pickup.
I've never had a pickup bar, but they do look good.
They are good.
Can you hear a blowing in the background of my microphone?
No.
Okay, good. No, it's just I've got this circulating fan in the background, and I thought it was interrupting.
No, nothing there. Nothing there.
Okay.
Right, so Ryan, your biscuit of choice?
Yeah, I'm not sure if this counts as a biscuit, but I think it does. A lovely KitKat cookies and cream edition.
I don't think I've had a KitKat.
I had that. I had
I'm
that
just
when
gonna-
it wasn't actually in the UK. So they originally came out in New Zealand.
Yeah, they're always either in New Zealand or Japan or something with the KitKats. But if I just pop my microphone down for a second, I will open this up and I will show it to everyone. Alfie, why don't you explain your biscuit?
Oh, I've just got custard creams. Because Old Faithful, custard creams. I'm more of a bourbon connoisseur, but that's what Mum bought, so that's
Here
what
it
we've
is.
got.
Here's the cookies and cream.
Oh, that looks really intricate.
Very nice.
Don't hold it too much, Ryan.
I'm going to eat this before it melts. So.
Oh no, you ate that wrong.
Listen.
Is there a way to eat biscuits?
Well, you get a bit more of a whammy when you go for both fingers at once. That could be taken out of context, but it's true. It's true.
There's a way to eat KitKats, and that was not it.
You break them up,
you have to
and you slowly eat them.
But
I say stuff that, because when I have a 6, the ones of 6, I've been known to just put them all away at once.
They're good.
It's like eating one of the jumbo ones.
Yeah, they're good. They're better, in my opinion. I like the jumbo ones more.
I don't think they are. The concentration's not as high.
Yeah, but
no, but they just it's so refreshing. Like a Kit Kat, like it doesn't. You don't even feel it. Like it goes down without you even feeling it.
It's way too thin.
Also, could be taken out of context.
Exactly.
This is going to be an innuendo episode, I think. Oh no! Yeah. I mean, you were talking about how you don't know if it's going to be classed as a biscuit. Have we mentioned before on previous podcasts about the Jaffa Cake scandal?
The Jaffa Cake scandal.
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about.
About why Jaffa Cakes are called Jaffa Cakes and not, because they're basically biscuits, aren't they? They're like a form of biscuits.
I don't think I've heard that.
But they are classed as a cake.
Yeah, because that is to avoid the tax.
for tax evasion. That's,
Yeah.
you know, God bless capitalism.
Yeah, you got.
That's the answer.
It's,
Jaffa cakes are legally cakes because there's less tax on importing cake than there is biscuits.
It's true. It's how they do it.
you know, we might have to relabel this episode "Avoiding Tax with the Cakes"
Yes,
or something along those lines.
Well, yeah,
But you know,
I think I've always stood by Jaffa cakes are cakes.
I've always loved it. I've loved a good Jaffa cake.
Does anyone know what the word Jaffa means out of the context of a Jaffa cake?
Yeah, Jaffa's a type of orange.
Well, it is a type of orange, but Jaffa can also be a term to describe someone who is impotent and cannot produce sperm. Fun fact.
Wow, that's really what I need to think of when I eat my ex eat my Jaffa cakes.
All right. No,
I just think, thank God there's no sperm in Jaffa cakes.
Well, I learned this because this is a fun story. My media teacher, bless his heart, he once told me and my friends at college that he reckoned he could eat a whole pack of Jaffa cakes in under a minute. And so we challenged.
I wouldn't be surprised.
We challenged him to that, and we were like, well, let's see what you can do. So one of my friends, he brought in a whole pack of Jaffa cakes, and we timed him, and he didn't complete it, bless him, but he tried.
No. How far was he off?
I think about 4. So he did pretty well.
Close.
Very
Jaffa cakes are something worth savouring, though.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I seem to remember having a night in with my girlfriend. There were some Jaffa cakes in the house which were sized to steel, and I was barely lucky to get like 1 or 2 because they're so good, but they hardly put any in them. Yeah, that you know, you've got to conserve them. I don't think I would want to eat an entire packet of Jaffa cakes in a minute.
No. But yeah, no. How we found out about the Jaffa meaning was like afterwards. We tried to make a certificate for him because he has loads of sort of things up on his wall, and we put "World's Fastest Jaffa" as the title of his award, and he looked up the word Jaffa because he thought it meant the thing that I said, and and it did. So
I'd have that on my wall too.
Exactly.
Ryan,
what I know.
Ryan, it's okay. I'll get you one of those too. But I'll cut out the word Jaffa and just put incompetent.
Thank you very much. So, boys, shall we head into today's
film talk?
Film talk. I know you two are particularly excited about this one.
I
was very excited to rewatch.
Considering this was me and Alfie's week to pick the film, we went for something which is probably, I don't know, I'd say it's quite relevant to sort of our past. Would you say that?
Yeah,
it's sort of a film.
Yeah.
I'd say it's a film that's been there as like a past one. My sister loves the film anyway, so I've always seen it.
I remember my mum and dad when I was younger. So this film came out 2008.
2008, yeah.
So I've got it. Dark Knight, by the way, we're talking about Dark Knight by Christopher Nolan. If you haven't seen this film, of course you've seen it.
Come on.
But story about this film. This film, I must say, is dark for a 12, isn't it? Or 12A if you're American. It's a dark film, and I remember when I was younger. So obviously I was like, 8, maybe younger when this film came out. I remember my mum and dad watched it with some friends this one time, and they were persistent on making sure that I don't watch this film because they thought it was too dark. And I remember watching the first one, Batman Begins, but I was like, why can't I watch the sequel? It's like, no, you're not old enough. It's like, but it's a 12, and that one was a 12. And that means like, no, you're not old enough. And that took them ages to convince them to let me watch this film.
I remember when I first got the DVD, I opened it and I looked at the disc and it was like 12 for England, and I looked at the Ireland rating and it said 15, and little 9-year-old me was like, oh yeah, look, that's cool.
There it is, now. 15.
There it is. But yeah,
I got the set for a Christmas one time. Hold on, probably here somewhere.
Dark Knight trilogy box set.
Nothing fancy, just a nice.
I got the trilogy.
Yeah,
I have the same.
I've got the box, which sits proudly on my desk because I like this film series quite a lot, and I'm not sure.
It's a good trilogy.
It's a good trilogy. I think the last one's got Revenge of the Return of the Jedi fever, where it's like the weakest one.
Yeah.
But how can
I've just got Nolan biased.
You've got Nolan bias. Yeah.
I have a sort of love-hate thing with Nolan. I love half of his filmography, and there are some that I'm...
Because there was that new Tenet trailer that came out.
Well, that new Tenet trailer, mate.
I want to talk about that. I want to talk about that after this. I'll talk about that after.
What we will say.
So, Ryan, what do you think about this film? Because I think we both can say it's assumed that Luke and I both quite like this movie.
Yes. I've got my extensive notes here.
Right, okay.
I was jotting down throughout the film. I still think it's a very good film. Go on, Luke.
This is the part. That's actually the same notebook. Ryan writes down all the URLs to his colourful search history.
No, this is a fresh notebook. I'm only 3 pages in currently, so it hasn't been tarnished just yet.
Yeah,
fair enough.
But yeah. So I think it's a very good film. I think this is just my opinion again, but I think it's gotten a little bit dated.
Right.
Do you think?
From this recent rewatch, I think the last time I watched this film was maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I think by this point, but yeah, there's a lot of acting and special effects, which I suppose can't really be at filmmakers because
you say special effects.
Oh yeah, the Harvey Dent shit on his face, I think is a bit hit or miss. There are some scenes in here where it looks a bit video gamey, and scenes where it sort of works.
Well, it is 2008, I suppose.
It is 2008, so I didn't hold it. I didn't hold it to that quite a bit, but a lot of the foreshadowing that's in place, I think, doesn't really work as well.
Oh yeah, spoilers.
I wanted to talk about this because you obviously said, I think some of. Let
me list everything else first before you get onto that. Yeah, there's also a lot of I know it sort of fits with the mood of the film, and it can't be The Dark Knight without some dark and gritty lighting and cinematography. But I think at some points it's a little bit too much. It falls into that.
There's one scene that comes to mind when you say that.
Yeah. Like a lot of it is quite.
Do you mind if I just mention this one scene where I mostly like the lighting choices and the way it looks. I think it works for the world. But there's this one bit in the film, and it's when Batman is sitting on the chair and he's very depressed, and
that's the one.
And Michael Caine, Alfred brings him breakfast, and it looks like it's in the middle of evening. And I'm like, "Here's some breakfast, Master Wade," and I'm thinking, "What breakfast?
Yeah, it's all like
these fucking did me." And so that's the one bit where I thought, "Now this is getting a bit ridiculous." Now, like, come on, are you not allowed to show the daytime in these films?
Yeah, but that being said, there are some great uses of it in the film. A lot of great shots, which I did note down as well.
But it's also got a huge budget.
Of course, Of course, they're allowed to do a lot of great practical.
But we'll talk about say your bit.
Say
your bit, and then we'll go into that.
I think the big thing that I am not a fan of is, and he's a really important part of the film, because his story sort of drives it, even though he's a secondary character, and that's Harvey Dent. I think I think Aaron Eckhart's performance in this at points is quite laughable. There are some scenes in it which he is really great in, like some of the dinner table scenes where he's being all smarmy with Bruce, and some of the moments where he's talking to Gordon. What are you laughing about then?
So I'm just thinking about the scene where he's lying in the hospital bed and he turns his coin over and it's got the dark, like the black sign. He's there. He's like fucking grabbing his pillow.
That bit is a bit laughable as well. And also there's the scene where he gets his face burnt in half. I'm sorry. I actually scream laughed at that.
It
and
didn't.
A few other times at this film.
It's hard to, because obviously it's a comic book.
Mhm.
And most of the time, it's weird. When I watched this film, I forgot Batman was a comic character because it's been a while since I've read any Batman. So watching it on film, I kind of forgot that this was based off of anything. And I was but it's translating some of those more bizarre ideas into sort of gritty realism must be quite hard. Because I remember in the third one, you've got Anne Hathaway as Catwoman, and it does just look a bit ridiculous. And in a normal comic book movie, it would kind of work. But in this grounded realism, there is no reason that Anne Hathaway should be wearing cat ears. And it's the same way with the way Harvey Dent's half his face was burnt off. Like, how do you do that without it looking quite silly?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's just including
with Harvey. With Harvey, I think.
Look, fucking hand up.
I'm sorry. I want to get my spiel out on this.
Yeah, sorry. It's a lot to talk about.
But it's when there's one moment where he screams "shut up" at this guy at a bar table. I did send it to our group chat, and I don't know if you guys saw it, but I thought it was hysterical. I don't know, but he's a bit of a mess, and also the character of Rachel, I think, is really underwritten. And
Rachel very much just kind of seemed like
she was just a love interest.
Like to this one war, and she was kind of. I felt like her death was basically just motivating. There wasn't a lot of singular identity. I didn't even know what her job was because I hadn't seen the first or last one, so I don't know what she did for anything. And she was in the police, and she was questioning that guy. And then I think, so she's a police officer? I didn't know that. She doesn't look like a police officer. We were seeing the police officer building. Is she a? But I didn't get what her role was in the film other than to die and to motivate Chase.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that sort of ties in with the foreshadowing stuff as well. Like,
that's just me. Is Alfie frozen?
He was a bit pixely then. Yeah, I will say. But
that's my parents streaming Vikings downstairs. Sorry.
You're coming through now. It's all right. But yeah, no, the stuff with the foreshadowing of her death, I think, doesn't really make sense in this grounded and sort of realistic.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about this. So
let's get into this.
You said, I didn't think the sort of foreshadowing was sort of, it didn't really work. But at the same time, they're making it for a DC audience, okay, and that they're looking for sort of superhero films where they understand how it works because of the tropes that are in it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like they.
I don't think that's what Nolan
I feel like they
do. Like,
no, but I feel like they had to include. I know. I feel like they had to include some of the tropes from the DC universe.
Yeah.
For sort of other viewers who are outside of that to appreciate it.
Yeah, I suppose there is that, but again, it's a little bit laughable on rewatch. It's not like laugh out loud stuff, but it's just sort of like you could have done.
Yeah, it's very clearly that Rachel was kind of just there's a term, you guys probably heard of it, sexy lamppost. Yeah. It was a bit of that in it. And it's a shame because I thought she was pretty good in the film, like actress. Do you know the theory? Do you know it, Luke?
Go on.
Yeah.
So basically, for the people at home, there's this theory going around. I can't remember who created it, and it was kind of this theory about female representation in films, and it's called the sexy lamppost theory. And it's, could the characters be replaced by a sexy lamppost and would have the same effect on the plot? And I kind of think that's the vibe with Rachel's character. Is she's just an item more than a person, really. She's not given much individuality.
Personally, I didn't think Rachel brought anything to the narrative.
She didn't bring anything to the narrative other than to die and for Harvey Dent and Batman to be upset about.
Yeah, exactly.
It just all it was another plot twist.
But
because if you think, I think of this film, it's broken up into so many different stages.
Yeah,
because you've got the first sort of bit, which is about the mobs and their money and stuff. Then you've got the second sort of bit, which is like Harvey's sort of coming back. And what's the main police guy called? The one who turns the light on? Commissioner Gordon. Yeah, Commissioner Gordon. Then you got the bit where he dies at the big bit where the other guy died.
Forgot about that twist. So when I saw him dying, I was actually quite shocked because I couldn't remember that he died.
I had that
when I first watched it. So I was like, "Oh my god, did they really kill off Gordon?" Like, I genuinely was like, "Did they do that?"
Yeah, like I remember. Yeah,
and then
noises, but
then it breaks. Then it breaks into the second half where Harvey wakes up in the hospital. So so it's broken up into, I think it's about 4 or 5 stages. Because then you got the last stage, which is the bits on the boats.
Yeah.
Where they make the inmates choose the general public, and the general public choose the inmates, and who blows up each other's boats. So it's broken up into different stages. So it sort of feels like you're watching more than one film.
Yeah, I think whenever the film is doing some tense thriller or action moment, I think that's when it's at its best. I think they sort of lose it a bit when they try and maybe stick an emotional landing or.
I think one thing I did appreciate about the film was it's at some points, at other points it was a bit difficult. It has a very breakneck pace. When I started the film, I was like, "Thank Christ, it's just straight in." Everything introduced immediately. You know, what everyone's like, and I think that was very good. Part of the film is that you know what everyone's up to, know what everything's doing. All
I watched
perfectly.
I watched a thing by what's his name, Ryan, the guy who wrote Breaking Bad.
Vince Gilligan.
Vince Gilligan. He did a thing, and he said the only way I was going to get Breaking Bad off the ground was to start it at the beginning, because no one would have wanted to see this boring man then turn into the criminal. I had to show him at his peak or at a higher point to then show, get people excited and draw them in, that there's more to this than meets the eye. Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that sort of Chris thought when he wrote this.
Yeah. Did Nolan write this?
I will double check.
Let's check the DVD.
Let's head over to Letterboxd.
Oh, my dinner's here. Thank you. Cheers. Support your local takeaways, isn't it?
Of course.
Lovely.
And
oh fuck.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So it was written by Christopher Nolan, and I'm guessing his brother Jonathan Nolan.
That's right. His brother did a lot of writing.
David S. Goyer. So I know of his stuff as well. He's worked with Nolan a lot, but he's also worked on some quite bad stuff. I know he's like a comic book writer, but I know he's a consultant as well on
Nolan. Yeah, I think he does write comic books. His brother does. I think he did a run on Batman.
Yeah.
Well,
they wrote.
He co-wrote Batman versus Superman.
Oh no, did he?
Yeah, and the new Terminator movie as well. So things have taken a dip for him.
That wasn't Genesis. That was the other one, Dark Fate.
Yeah. Whatever it was.
I remember watching Genesis in the theater, and we all left. Yeah, because my mum and dad are massive Terminator fans, and so we went to go see it. And then when we left, we were all just so disappointed. We felt frosty ripped off. Yeah.
But yeah, no, so he's obviously had some like help with the background of the characters and stuff. But yeah, no, that opening scene in the bank is great. One of my other favorite scenes from the start is the bit with the guy who dresses up as Batman. What's his name? Brian, and Joker films like his execution video, and I think that's like one of the best intimidating moments with Heath Ledger, who without a doubt is the best part about the film. 100%.
Oh yeah.
If you talk to anyone ever and they say what's the best movie villain ever, everyone's just going to say Heath Ledger's Joker, because he's the most terrifying.
He got so into it that it killed the boy.
Yeah. But, I mean, there was that documentary about him which I never watched, but is it?
Well, there's the one that's compiled, because he used to film himself all the time.
Right.
And there's a documentary which is compiled of all his they made it out like found footage, but it's basically just all his little video. It was all his little video diaries that he did.
Yeah, he's obviously great. And
Sounds
I think Gary Oldman's performance can be great at points, but also it can be a little bit faulty, and that's not due to
much like Gary Oldman, really.
Yeah, I think it's also due to like the fact he is an American, and the accent he puts on for Commissioner Gordon does sort of break at points early on in the film, and then he somehow is able to control it a bit more after he comes back from the dead or whatever.
Well, I think the biggest thing for me is when I now watch it, I can't stop thinking of him on his knees wearing shoes.
What was the which we mentioned last episode.
I can't stop.
He does sign up for a lot of crap, doesn't he? Oh, Gary Oldman.
That's
watching a terrible film. I watched him in a terrible film, Book of Eli, which is
the Book of Eli.
Have you seen it? Have you seen it, Ryan?
It's so bad.
It's terrible. It's so bad. I remember I was thinking it's got Meg from Family Guy in it, and it's got what's his face? Denzel.
Yeah,
it's
Denzel.
just
not a good
what
time.
were you thinking?
But yeah, no, his performance kind of can vary. I've got Heath obviously listed down, and also I think the same thing sort of applies with Bale.
I like Christian Bale though as Batman.
I think he's a good Batman. He's very good at being the playboy, isn't he? The Bruce Wayne, I'm so
up my playboy Bill.
I'm such a cock. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he does like,
and I love that.
The character he performs it well, but I think it's just the stuff with Bruce. I think he isn't as like
he isn't the most compelling character in the film.
No, he's a bit wooden. But
yeah, I wouldn't go that way. I don't think he does a bad job, but he isn't the most interesting character in the film, which is weird because it's a Batman movie.
Yeah, exactly.
The only time when he is sort of compelling is at the end of the trilogy when basically Michael Caine gives us that little anecdote where he's like, I go to Paris every year.
Oh yeah.
And I sit at this one table and I look across and I think one day I'm going to see you sitting over there with a young lady and your kids. And I think one day I will see you there. And that's any bit when they have that issue.
Fucking brilliant in this film.
Yeah, I was going to say
as Alfred. He just sells it completely.
I think Michael Caine is probably the best part, to be honest. Like, I mean, he's a big role.
He's the best good guy,
but he's a solid. He's a solid actor.
You know, when you watch a film, it's got someone famous in it. You can't help but just see like the actor. I don't have that with him. I just see Alfred.
Yeah,
and the other thing as well is
sells it completely.
You can guarantee it's a Nolan film if it's got Michael Caine in it.
Yeah.
You've got Samuel L. Jackson with Tarantino. He's found his way in almost every film ever by Tarantino. Almost. Same with Michael Caine. He's in almost every Nolan film.
Well, yeah, but
he plays that
one. It's still surprising. Like when I watched the trailer for Tenet earlier, like I was like, "Oh shit, Michael Caine's in it." But
yeah,
that's what I thought. Yeah, well, in Interstellar, he plays the head scientist. Inception, he plays the grandfather.
Yeah.
In the Dark Knight trilogy,
he's Alfred.
I think
he wasn't in Dunkirk.
No, he's on the radio. He's a radio announcer in it.
Fuck off!
Oh, right. Well,
yeah, he has like a vote.
Well, there you go.
Cameo.
There you go. So he's tried to shove him in there somewhere. And obviously, the new Tenant trailer, I saw him in it, and I thought, bloody hell! I'm not going to knock it. It works, but Michael Caine sort of plays Michael Caine.
Yeah. Well, not in Children of Men. He's a completely different character in that. That's the most different he's ever been.
I haven't seen that one yet. It's on my Netflix list.
What are you talking about?
I will watch it. I do want to see it.
Maybe in a few weeks' time we can cover.
Maybe we'll do it one day.
It is my favorite.
I mean,
one of my top 5 films. So
Ryan, the Italian Job was the peak of his career.
The Italian Job is
his peak, but it's not his best performance. No way, Jose.
It's not his best. It's not his best film, but it's still a good movie.
Yeah,
it's just a charming film, Italian Job. It's not like poetic cinema, but it's not bad by any means.
I've got listed down here as well. All of my favorite shots, and pretty much all of them have Joker in it. So I've got obviously the clapping moment in the holding cell. I've got when he burns the money, and I noted this down as well because he says the everything burns line right as he lights it, and he's just standing there, and it's like I think that's quite a cool double meaning there.
My favorite
shots
shots
in the car and swerving. That one's great.
That is a good shot. My favorite shots are in the beginning. You have the shot over shot of the skyscrapers, but that's just it sells it as a high budget film in the first place. The orbiting tracking shot on the glide cam, which they did around the Joker when they're at Bruce's party.
The fundraiser.
There's an orbiting shot of them in the middle, which is really
that was really good. That bit that really sort of gets you dreading the characters.
And then the other one is I really like. I'm just sort of cutting in between here, but I really liked the one at the end at the hospital where he's walking out, because obviously the little inside is that he improvised that part when it didn't work.
That made me appreciate it more. That scene more.
Yeah,
the explosion. Yeah,
they only had one go at it, and he didn't go, "Ah, dang it, guys, this thing's not working." He just went.
Yeah, it's really great.
And he just improvised it. It was he was a natural actor that he just knew all the cues. And a lot of the time, the stuff that he did in the film, he didn't. Obviously, he followed the script, but he also did little bits for himself, like that would add to the character.
Yeah, of course. I think all that stuff is great with him. And I think another thought I had just a minute ago is like, I don't think Batman is sort of a necessary part to this film in a way. I think you could literally just make this a film about a group of detectives and police officers trying to get this terrorist, this guy who's trying to destroy this city, and you could like make I don't know, Batman into this like brooding detective character or something. But again, you'd probably have to cut out the whole storyline with Harvey Dent like trying to find out. Tell us who Batman is, whatever. But I think even if it was that sort of film, it could still achieve its status that it has.
You've got the main antagonist, which is the Joker, but very easily you could slide the main protagonist character onto either Harvey Dent or the main head chief police officer, Gordon.
Yeah,
you could very easily give it to one of them and not. But to be honest, sometimes I do think maybe it's not just Bruce who is the main protagonist.
Well, no,
I don't think it is. I
think it's just about as much as Harvey as it is Bruce, to be honest. And you know, that can be a little bit of a detriment to it, but it also can be quite good at times, I think. It really depends. But yeah, I'm interested to hear what you boys' rating is for it. I've sort of stuck to what I had it listed as before. I feel like a light 4 out of 5, high 7 to a light 8. I think it's a really, really, really good film, but I don't think it's like one of the best ever made. But I still really like it. But
I think. Shall I go next, or do you want to go?
Yeah, you go, Luke. You go, Luke.
I think as being a Nolan sheep, I suppose you could call me. him being one of my favourite sort of directors, purely just because of his own rules that he sets for himself. You know, he shoots every film in 75mm film or IMAX. It's the thought, the meticulousness behind his films which makes me love them even more. And I think I call it the Nolan universe of just the films that he makes, because in some alternate reality you could actually put a lot of them together and they would be one film.
Possibly.
You could bring, and so it's sort of it's going to be likable. If you like Nolan's sort of normal films, you're going to like this. It follows a slight formula to that degree, but I think if I'm comparing this to sort of Nolan's other films, sort of at the top of my list is Inception. Then you probably got Interstellar and Memento, etc. I'd say I'd probably, if I'm giving those sort of ratings of 9s, I'd probably give this an 8.
Okay.
Out of 10.
Yeah.
Because it is a good film.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the is it the first or is it the last one with
That's the last one.
That's the last one, yeah, Rises.
Yeah. Okay.
I did like the cinematography in that one, and I do like his character.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I put it on my letterbox. It was 5-star, and I'm still probably going to stick to that. Maybe 4.5.
Yeah.
Now that we've talked about it,
it means a lot more to you.
But let's be honest, like, yeah, obviously it means a lot to me as a film. And when I was watching it now, I was still just completely drawn to it. None of its problems really stuck out to me now, and it did now that we talk about it, but then didn't stick out to me. It was a really enjoyable experience. So maybe I'm going to give it 4.5, 5, something around that mark, 4.5.
Decent.
I think over time you sort of let it slip. You just sort of you accept it for what it is, and you know that it can't be anything more than it is, and you just sort of you go with what you feel. It sort of makes you feel.
And it's also, you got to give it credit because it's such an innovative film as well. Like how DC like completely failed to do their like new films by trying to replicate the dark and gritty nature of it, but the film does have some genuine like funny moments near the start of it, like some good little quips of dialogue.
Yeah,
and even like some of the stuff the Joker does is horrendous, but like, you know, he comes up with like those little one-liners which make you chuckle a bit. So
it's like the ones where he smacks the guy's head on the fucking pencil, and he goes, "Ta-da!"
Yeah, no, it's great. But yeah, so I think that's a sort of conclusive number overall. Like a 4, I think would be our group number for it. 4 out of 5.
Speaking of DC films, did you guys hear that the Snyder Cut?
Oh my god!
The Snyder Cut of Justice League is going to be a thing.
It's so cringy that that's actually happened. Okay, Zack Snyder is how should I put it? Not a very good filmmaker. His niche is a bit messy, like brooding over.
His niche are the people
CGI.
who kind of like, I don't know.
They're like
Batman versus Superman.
Yeah, they're like the nerds who are like, we're too good for the Dark Knight and shit like that. It's like, get a hold of yourself. The Justice League.
Oh gosh,
I haven't seen the Justice League.
I don't think I've seen the Justice League.
I saw the Ralph the Movie Maker video, and that's
that was enough.
Yeah,
but
I'm not ever going near that. I'm definitely not the Snyder Cut.
Because everyone got, I did a bit of research and I got it shoved down my Twitter.
Yeah, and can't get away from it.
I can't get away with it. And people are like, it's going to be a completely different film. The studio cut 90% of Zack Snyder's stuff. And I'm like, okay. But one of the problems with the film is its over-reliance on special effects. From what I've seen anyway. I haven't seen it, but I've seen enough. And it's cringy dialogue and the fact that it sets up 3 or 4 characters at one point when it should have done that with its own film, like Marvel did.
Never seen before, yeah. I
don't think Zack Snyder's 4.5 hour cut of the film is going to fix that.
No, yeah,
which is what it's going to be made, by the way. It's going to be 4 hours long. Shit.
Yeah, they said it could either be like a mini series or just a really long film. They were saying, but
what's the point?
I know. But yeah, Zack Snyder.
Have you got any?
Make something different.
Have you got any recommendations for us, Ryan?
Oh right. Well, I suppose I should say what we're going to be watching next week.
Although, I think this podcast, I bring a few recommendations of some good documentaries. I thought, maybe we should bring some.
I'll let you do that.
You go first. No, you go first.
I'll reveal what our watch for next week will be. Next week we are watching First Reformed, which is available on Netflix in the UK. It's a film starring Ethan Hawke as a priest who gets dragged into the world of extremism and environmental protests. And it's in my top 10 films of all time. I love it. it's my favorite film from 2018 that I saw.
And it is an A24, so
it is an
of course we're going to buy
A24 film. But yeah, exactly. So it's on Netflix. I urge you all to watch it. It's an amazing film, and we'll be talking about that next week. But recommendations for this week. Let's have a quick go through it. I've watched quite a bit this week.
Right,
more than last week. I've had a bit more of a free schedule. Last night I watched Eating Raoul, which is a film that was put on Criterion, which I got given for my birthday, which was this week.
I saw your Letterboxd review on that.
Yeah. I thought it was very, very funny, very much a product of its time. It's a comedy about this very bland sort of 60s-ish couple stuck in the 80s with a bunch of swingers that move into their apartment, and they decide to murder them and take their money to get funding for their restaurant that they're trying to get funding for. And it's very dark, but also dark. It's very dark, but it's actually very light in tone somehow. You never see any blood or gore in the film. You just see them whack the people over the head with the frying pan and they're dead, but it's also very funny. It has a lot to say about that culture from the time. I'd recommend it if you can get your hands on it. Good time. Some of the stuff in it is a bit dated, but I quite enjoyed it. Also, I've started watching a mini series on HBO, which I keep forgetting the name of. Let me just look it up. But it's very good. It's got Mark Ruffalo playing dual roles. Hold on, give me a minute.
I was going to ask you actually
in my room because it's.
Do you know what that film's called? That it's coming out soon. I think is it a David Peele film? The one about the family that move into Jordan Peele. Sorry, about the family that move into that house. And then they're like, "Oh, it's not for us. We're going to go." And then they end up driving around, and they're just back in the same place again.
No, it's not by Jordan Peele, but it has that sort of ear to it.
Yeah.
But that's the name of it. This is I Know This Much Is True. So it's about Mark Ruffalo and his brother, who has schizophrenia, and this incident that his brother did one time, and his brother is now being admitted into what is pretty much like an insane asylum, and he's trying to get him out. It's a 6-episode long miniseries. Only 2 episodes have come out so far, but they're both extremely gut-wrenching and beautifully shot. I don't know what it was shot on, but oh my god, Luke, you would love the way it looks. It's very good, very messed up, a bit sour, but that's what's great about it. It's based off a 900-page book, which I considered buying, but it's 20 quid everywhere I looked. So I think I'll have to hold off on that one for a while. But the series, very good. It's still going. I'd recommend it. And
What's
that's
it called?
it. It's called I Know This Much Is True. So it's on Sky Atlantic at the moment, but it's very good. And that's about.
I've been watching this very underground, very unheard of indie movie. No one's really seen it. It kind of went unnoticed. It's this film, it's a short film. It's very small. It's called Get Out. No, I watched that the other night for the first time ever because I don't know why. I just kept putting it off. It's like when people keep recommending you this film and it makes you want to watch it less. I finally watched it. My first impressions were I thought the plot was quite predictable. And then it kind of took... I'm not going to spoil it because if you haven't seen it, it's good fun. I thought the plot was quite predictable and then it kind of took a couple of directions which I didn't think about. But there was always kind of like saying, oh yeah, they're clearly... I don't know. Yeah, you just watch. I'm sure you two have seen it multiple times already. But for the
I have
viewers at
seen
home,
it a few times. We did study it a little bit at college, but I saw it when it initially came out. I quite love. I love it. I love it. But it's not
a good movie. It was certainly not my favorite. But if you want a good film to watch,
yeah, that
is definitely a good. Like there's some things wrong with it, but overall, it's really good entertainment. I'm definitely checking it out. But I'm pretty sure everyone and their fucking mother's seen that film by now. I'm the only one who hasn't. Yeah,
my mum has. It's very good.
everyone's seen it. It was a big deal. I'm gonna watch Us next if they put it on Netflix. Really.
Have you not seen it yet?
Mm-mm. I don't normally watch horrors, so that's probably why.
Us is good, but there's a lot of a few plot holes that sort of make it fall apart just a little bit, but it's still really good. Still really good. Go on then, Luke. Unleash your documentary fever upon us.
Well, to be honest, I've been watching a lot of documentaries this week. It's no surprise. It's normally what I watch anyway. And I watched a couple of recommendations which I got, and they were actually really good. They were quite dark documentaries, I suppose, to say the least. One of them was a really great documentary called 14 Days in May, and it was about this.
The one about the death row inmates.
Yeah, right? it was about this guy on death row. And it was a really famous case, and basically it's about this 2-week period up to his execution where he was going to be killed, and it was more poignant because it was genuinely real. This guy was probably going to die.
Wow.
And I won't spoil too much.
Right.
But basically, sort of, it's 2 weeks, and it's filmed in a really weird way because it was filmed in like the 90s, and it was a long time ago, but it looked really sort of interesting because it was filmed really nicely to say what the equipment they had back then. Yeah, and it was genuinely just really good because it followed the whole story, and the sort of the camera crew got very attached to this guy who was on death row basically, and they were just they were showing the sort of the suicide chamber, or not suicide chamber, the execution chamber where they would end up killing them.
I've seen one of them,
and it was quite.
I went to this, if you don't mind me saying. I went to this thing in Hastings, called it was like True Crime Museum or something. It's really good. So if you ever find yourself in the area, do go, because obviously don't take the kids, but but they had one of those beds that they put people on and execute them from America, and they had it in this room, and just like looking at it was really eerie because you just know that people had died on it, and it's kind of just, it was really strange. So I can only imagine what that must be like actually being there in the chamber, watching someone who's about to go there. I can only imagine. That sounds very good.
Yeah, what was it available on? BBC iPlayer, did you say?
That one's on iPlayer.
Yeah. Nice.
I'll check that out.
All right. Is there any other ones that you wanted to recommend before we get on to catch up?
So another really great one was it was An Honest Liar, which was basically about an old magician called, I can't remember what his name is now. He was very well known, James something, but he was a well-known magician, and he spent many of his years, and they called him the sort of next Houdini because he did most of Houdini's tricks but did them better, and he was very well known for years. And in the end, he sort of gave being a magician up, and he became more of a debunker. Is that the right word? He deblunked.
Yeah.
He deblunked. Debunker. That's the one.
Yeah, where he disproves. Or that tells people how they did their trick.
So he would go to evangelist churches, and he would basically prove to everyone that they weren't actually, sort of messengers from God, that they were just trying to steal your money and get as much out of you as possible.
Oh, right.
And then,
what a weird career change.
Yeah. Well, no, that wasn't what he was doing.
Yeah.
That was what these sort of people were doing. And the way he realized this, because they said, how do they know all this information about people? How do they know that they've got a heart condition or something? Because they'd go up to them and say, oh, we can heal you and all this shit. But because he had an earpiece in, his wife was sat feeding him information.
Yeah.
Right.
And he was just saying, Chris Ann from, what's that, Lord? From 14th Avenue or some shit like that. And then he would go, you've got a tumor in your brain. I'm going to get rid of that devil. I'm going to push him out. Or some crap like that.
It sounds like the sort of that group from the film The Master, like that sort of thing where they're like, we can time travel and stop cancer and stuff like that.
Yeah. No, but
So,
it's very
hold on,
good.
so the magician becomes a guy who debunks.
Yeah.
And he. Yeah, I was gonna say, what a weird career change.
Yeah, he completely changed his term, and then in the end, he said, "Well, I've been trying to prove, show the truth to everyone about all these other people. I may as well tell the truth about himself." So he came out in the end as gay at 81.
Right.
Mad.
That sounds really good. What's that on iPlayer?
That's on Amazon Prime.
Oh. I feel implied to check that one out. That really sounds interesting.
Didn't you say that most of these have been from Louis Theroux?
Yeah, these were recommendations. Most of them are Storyville, which was a thing that BBC did a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
most of them are those, but they're all worth a watch. I've got a list of them which I'll put in the description below. But
a mate of mine, it's their birthday today, and for their birthday, they're a big Louis fan. So they got a cardboard cutout for him, and he stands in the corner of their room now.
I'm a little bit jealous about that.
Well, speaking of birthdays, I think that's the perfect segue into weekly catch up.
Weekly catch up, indeed.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think our week is sort of intertwined for all of us, especially on Tuesday. For those unaware, Tuesday was a lovely day. It was my birthday. My big 18th. Obviously, it's a bit hard to celebrate with everyone during the quarantine, obviously, which sucks. But these two and a few other people really pulled through for me, which was lovely.
Wow.
Had a few lovely surprises. The day itself was great. I got to spend a little bit of time with my family at the house. Rang up people who couldn't be there on Skype, which was nice. And then later on, we'd already planned a little group call for the evening with us and a few other friends, and Luke had masterminded all these big surprises, or two big surprises that were laid on to me, which were quite flooring, I must say, emotionally. But Luke, bless his heart, I feel like you should tell it because it was your big idea, from what I gather. Everyone else obviously chipped into it.
Well, obviously, if you didn't realise already, Ryan's a big sort of film. I'm going to say the word nerd. I'm going to say film nerd, which isn't a bad thing. And one of his favourite directors is David Lynch. We're not lying. We're not hiding anything about that.
If you know anything from the Blue Velvet episode,
yeah.
It's clear you're more of a Blue Velvet fan than we are Dark Knight fan.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously Ryan loves David Lynch, and probably about 4 weeks ago they released the David Lynch masterclass.
Yes.
And I remember seeing it. I was going, "Oh, Ryan would love that." And I do remember a comment you made. You said, "Oh, well, I don't need that crap because I've already got it on a free DVD where it's much better."
Well, I thought I did, because I bought that Blu-ray of his film Inland Empire, and it was just like an interview, a really badly shot interview. But I the thing is with a lot of the masterclasses is if I was going to have any of them, it would probably be the Lynch one, because like a lot of the directors, I love Scorsese and that, but they've got people like Ron Howard on there. I mean,
they have got Ron Howard, haven't they?
They've got Ron Howard.
Yeah, I'm going to show you how to make your movies. Okay, make a good one yourself first, and then and then talk to me about making my movie.
Yeah, but no, Lynch is someone I've always respected, like with his craft and also what he stands for when he's making a film. So Luke and everyone chipped in on this.
So we knew this
masterclass,
and I was going to go in it alone, and I thought, oh, I was buy that for him, but I also thought, bloody hell, it's like 90 quid.
It's steep.
So we did a little bit of a rally to get some money together between the lot of us, and because I actually said to you, I said, oh, I was going to get you the David Lynch thing, but I thought I would be able to afford it on my own, and you were like, oh, that would have been nice.
Yeah.
And so obviously your expectations were sort of on the floor with what we were going to bring to you,
of course,
which was exactly where I wanted you to be. And behind the scenes there was a lot of stuff going on,
There's a lot of chat.
So
yeah, there's a lot of chat.
So I remember the other thing that we did as well was we made you this project which we've been working on for about it's probably been about 4 years in the making.
I mean, for you especially, like the last part of it, I mean, you sort of like gathered everyone round at the last minute. So, but no.
it was a project which I started a couple of years ago. It was just sort of like a compilation and an amalgamation of the entire years that I'd known Ryan, sort of, you know, for the last 5 years, all put into one fucking stupid video.
Yeah,
and it was something that Ryan would appreciate if he saw it. It was no one else would understand it if you were on the outside. And Ryan made a comment. He said, "Oh, it'd be nice if I got that, you know, for my birthday." He was sort of alluding to things.
Totally not a hint at all.
I mean,
it's like when your missus goes, all right, like one day in the future, be like, "Oh, that's a lovely wedding ring."
Yeah. No, I very subtly alluded to it a few months prior. I think,
and I remember saying something like, "Oh, that's a shame I won't be able to find it because I started it years ago."
Pull off, I think you said, yeah.
How long did it take you to like finish it?
Probably took me 2 days.
You edited a little bit of it like years ago, but
so I had sort of the beginning,
but that was like 2 days, like solidly.
Yeah.
And then there's all this lovely stuff at the end where Luke got a bunch of my friends to put lovely, nice messages at the end of it. Nice, happy birthday messages from everyone. Some people I didn't expect popping up in there. Boxman, if you know, you know. But but yeah, no, it was really lovely, and then we had a lovely evening of dancing, and
it was
a weird night, and we had a house party call late into the morning. I fell asleep.
You fell asleep around like 2ish, I think.
Yes, that's like me.
And it's sort of
I remember your
4:30, but
your reaction was worth it, I think, because I remember there was scream hackles. There was scream hackles all day.
Yeah, no, I thank all of you, like you two and the others as well, for the great.
Have we got any comments this time?
It was a great time. So
we've got loads, but they all just say poo. Poo. Spider on Alfie's wall.
Oh my god! What is that?
Oh, there is. How the fuck have you seen that? It's like that's spider. That fucking is as well. There's 2 of them.
There's 2. You put that out in the group chat the other day of that flying bug on your pillow. I remember you'd like.
God, that bug! Should we have an Alfie Akers story time?
Yeah.
There was this. I was asleep the other night, and it was really hot, so I left my windows open, which is an error, as I see now. And I remember I just had a shower, so my hair was wet, and I was lying on my bed pillow, and I felt something trickling down my hair. I was so tired. I thought it's probably water, as I said to myself when I fell asleep. And then suddenly I felt that water climb across my face, then down onto my arm around here. I was like, "Oh, what the fuck is that?" I wake up, it's pitch black, and I sort of go, and like sort of flick it off my arm. I turned the torch on. There's this fucking like bug, like some sort of like big beetle with wings out, like that big.
It was
and
massive,
it's lying on is lying on this pillow. And I was thinking,
it's the size of your thumb in the video.
It's about the size of a third of my finger.
Yeah.
So it was big boy, and it was terrifying. And then it fell under my bed. Somehow, I think I flicked it off, and it fell underneath my bed, but I could still hear it flapping its wings. I knew it was active. So I went downstairs, got grass, and got this piece of paper, and I let it go, and then shut my windows. But yeah, no, that was really not.
Yeah. It looked terrifying, but yeah.
Tell them you'd be bleeding out, and then say prank bro when the ambulance comes. No, because I think the emergency services do not need any prank calling right at the minute.
Yeah, definitely not at the moment.
Fight Callum's corner spasmoid. Oh
my god.
I love our two fans here. We seem to have three friends. We've got a Dalek, the Diamond Crew, and Minecraft Iron Pickaxe. They're carrying this channel, lads. They've been talking for ages. And Potter Pasta that says, I honestly despise all of you. I wish nothing but pain upon you. That sounds like my mate Catherine.
Lovely. It might be.
It might be. There's a lot of stuff here.
Thank you all for commenting. Sorry we didn't notice it at the time, but
who are these people? Is this what happens when I finally put the podcast in my bio?
Well, thank you all.
Anyway, we've come to the hour mark on this.
We have come to the hour mark. Thank you all for watching. These new people, I guess.
Is it true that you're gay, Alfie?
Why?
No, it's not. I don't know where that's come from, but I'm sure you can think so. No, I'm not gay. I don't think it'd matter if I was, but no, I'm not homosexual. Sorry for, if you had your chances up. Yeah, sorry for disappointing you.
I mean, you are.
I'm taken anyway.
You are a
so
sexy beast, Alfie. So I don't blame them. But
join the corner.
Is there anything else you'd want to say before the show ends?
Is that an alt-right thing?
Your hair is where it comes from. Oh, my hair. Oh, so you're 8 years old, I'm assuming. But I'm glad that I'm glad I've got a gay haircut. Cheers.
Shall we close the show up?
Yes. Yeah.
Before we give them any more attention.
Did you want
to...
my name is Alfie Akers on YouTube and MGR on Soundcloud, although I haven't put anything on there. Or Alfie Akers Music. Subscribe to our channels. Subscribe to this channel. Subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to their channels. That's it. Oh, and don't buy Disney Plus.
Yep, that's a good shout. Don't buy Disney Plus. I'm Ryan.
Ryan Bums for packet.
What's that? What? Ryan burns dogs for packets of quavers.
No, bums dogs. Right.
Who's Elliot Roger? Elliot Roger lookalike Minecraft. I want to look this up now.
Anyway, carry on, Ryan.
Yeah, no, let's just ignore them. Let's wrap up the show. So yeah, Ryan.
Yeah, you guys go.
That's me. YouTube channel in the description. New videos coming soon. Make sure you all watch First Reformed for next week. So yeah.
And we will see you.
Anything you want to say, Luke? Or... No, okay.
Can't think of anything. We'll see you next time.